Hello and welcome. My name is Tiegan Garnett, and I am on a self-discovery process just with yourself. And we are interviewing experts in this field. So, welcome to Victoria. She is the most phenomenal woman. You literally cannot watch this video and not take so much value from it. I would love to know your value that you've taken from it and some insights, aha moments. There are tons in there. Amazing questions, incredible energy, and I think you're going to have a phenomenal time. Um,
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. I'm so appreciative, and I'm really
Welcome.
excited. I've got some awesome questions. Victoria, can you tell us about how you help people reshape their relationships with food and general self-perception and some of the awesome things you and your clients are currently achieving?
Definitely. So, how is a very, very long-winded answer with many layers to it, but I'll try and generalize it as much as possible and obviously ask me any questions around that, what you have with my answer. So, all in all, I help women and men, sometimes men, but primarily women, to heal their relationship with food, their bodies, and themselves. And we do that by getting right to the root of why the eating disorder was created in the first place, why the body image issues were created in the first place. We work on inner child stuff, a lot of self-love, a lot of body image, a lot of mindset, and we can go into how that actually works if you like, to then heal the behavior. So the behaviors are always a symptom of the root cause because it's not. This quote isn't mine. I can't think who said this quote, but it goes something like this. It's not why the addiction, it's why the pain. So we always need to go to the root cause to eradicate that, to heal that, and then there's no relapse because everything's healed at the root, not just changing their behaviors.
Nice. And can you sort of recognize where well, as they're talking, can you kind
Yeah,
of end up recognizing little glimpses of where them root things might have started?
definitely. It's always, always, always childhood. Always.
Yeah.
Even if someone comes to me and they're like, yeah, I had no problem with my eating until I was like 16 or 20 when I went to uni or whatever it was. And then I'm like, okay, so I'm banking that. That's when the behavior came through. But before that, in childhood, there were feelings of not feeling good enough, needing to be perfect, being an overachiever. And it's not to blame the parenting that they've had. It's just to get curious as to why this person as a child internalized these things. Because what happens is we have all this conditioning and all these experiences from the second we're born. And as children, we're rightly narcissistic. What that means is we make everything about us. So if mum's upset, it must be our fault. If dad's angry, it must be our fault. Unless the parent makes it very clear that it's not our fault and it's okay to feel emotions and all the things. So we experience an experience. So let's say, as an example, let's say you witness your mum trying on jeans and then being like she's upset or annoyed because the jeans are too tight. And then she might make a comment about she needs to cut back on cake or sugar or whatever. So even though she didn't say to you directly, you're not good enough unless you're thin, what this mother is teaching her child without knowing it is it's bad to have jeans that are too tight. You need to cut out food to lose weight, to be happy and to be okay. So we internalize that as children and we create a belief around what we've internalized. So this child in particular might have internalized being thin is good or being fat is bad. And we get it from all over the place, not just our parents. And then what happens with a belief is we create stories around that belief. And then over the course of our lives, we reinforce the strength of that belief. So then, from the second it's created within ourselves, because we've internalized what that means, because we have to make something mean something, that's what humans do. We have to find meaning. And then we spend the next 1, 2, 5, 20, 30, 40 years finding people, places, things, experiences that reinforce the belief that fat is bad and thin is good. And that feels true to us.
Yeah, for sure.
Just a story, ultimately, that we get to change, but we have to unlearn a load of shit to be able to do that first.
Literally. And like I work with kids now and they'll say something like, "Oh no, I'm being good." And they're like,
Mm,
"Hey." And I'm like, "What do you mean you're being good?" Like as if
yeah,
having sweets or something is like being bad.
exactly. And
And
they
it's
make it about themselves. It's not even about, oh, I'm being good with food, which is still fucked up to say. They're
Yeah.
making it about themselves. I'm good if I don't eat cake or sweets, and I'm bad if I eat sweets.
Yeah.
It's not
Literally.
true.
And then like all their other friends is like, oh, I want to be good too. Do you know what I mean? It's like a spiral of
Yeah.
comes from one parent, unknown, then
Yeah,
it gets passed down. Uh,
exactly.
what age do you think it starts at? Or do you think it just starts from
It can start as early as,
films
so
and isn't it?
it's everywhere, isn't it? It's absolutely everywhere. So even in the fetus, so like even in the fetus, that makes no sense. Even in the uterus,
Yeah.
the baby, like in the uterus, it takes on all the emotions of the mother. So granted, the fetus can't know when a mother's feeling an emotion about a body or food in inside of her in the uterus, but it feels her emotions. Then the second it's born, pre-language. So obviously we only have memory back until we can start to learn to think and in words really and start to place things. So my memory, I think is my earliest memory is from when I was like 3. I'm not sure. Do you remember when your earliest memory was?
I actually don't. I got asked it like a couple of years ago, and I could tell you like little snippets, but even then I couldn't really truly recognize how old I was,
Yes.
you know?
So our memories start properly. Well, our memories have always been there, but we remember as adults, like back when we can start speaking. So what I'm saying this for is babies learn pre-speech because the body never forgets, the nervous system never forgets. So again, if the baby's watching their mother in the mirror and the mother's looking disappointed at herself in the mirror, maybe grabbing her tummy or, you know, I'm sure we know how we feel when we've all done that before, when we're like looking disapproving at ourselves in the mirror. The baby's learning pre-language that looking at like yourself in the mirror is not a happy thing to do
Mhm.
just because of what the baby watching her mother's expression and her body language. And so it can start pre-verbally. And also in terms of us not feeling good enough and a lot of us feeling like we can't ask for what we need and
Yeah.
we feel like a burden. If you were left to cry as a baby, which when my mum brought me and my sister up, the experts told her to put a timer on for 10 minutes and let your baby cry for 10 minutes. And if after 10 minutes, then you can go pick your baby up. So like I would cry myself to sleep every night because that's what my mum thought was the right thing to do. Yet what I was learning as a baby, pre-language was, well, no, my needs don't matter because no one comes to help me. So I feel so you internalize that. And when you do get to create language, the language of like I'm a burden or I don't want to upset mum or all this stuff that can't be helped unless you know exactly how to do it. And we all get it wrong because we're human. But it starts as early as babies, a long-winded answer to answer that question.
No, that was absolutely sensational. Thank you. That was a
Okay.
great answer. And yeah, I love everything that you've just mentioned. And it is wild because even now, some parenting things will come up and some people still do that, that they're trying to train their baby how to regulate themselves.
Yeah, but they can't regulate themselves until a certain age.
Yeah, I know.
That's
Um,
the thing. And because a bit about babies, because you probably know I'm a new mom, so my baby is like 15 weeks old now, and I've learned a ton.
yeah,
I am her nervous system right now because she physically is unable to regulate herself. So therefore, I am regulating her emotions until she can regulate herself. Then I'll be with her in her emotions.
yeah. And you'll be with her while she regulates. And
Exactly. Yes.
exceptional. Is there some things as like motherhood that you're gonna consciously not do? Do you know how the examples that we had of like trying on the jeans, looking in the mirror? Are there some
Yeah.
things that you've like stuck to that like you will never ever ever do these things?
So many. I'll give you a few. Everything
Okay,
that
so
my
give me
mum
all
did
of them.
not do. Everything my mum didn't do. And that's a bit harsh because my mum was just doing the best with what she knew,
Yeah,
with what she could. But I will not be looking in the mirror disapprovingly. I also won't be spending a lot of time in the mirror. So I'll appreciate my body, which is what I do anyway, because I've been through all this work myself. But my daughter will see me appreciating my body in the mirror and speaking kindly to it, but not body checking, even if it's from a positive place. Body checking is showing her that the body needs to be objectified and checked on. So I will be showing her through my actions and through me modeling the behavior, I have a body that I get to experience life in.
Nice. Yeah.
And so that's one thing. Obviously, with food, I am completely free around food. We won't be labeling food as good or bad. We'll be tuning into ourselves and when she's old enough, I'll be asking her like, how does that feel in your body? Like if your body could speak to you, like what would she be saying right now? So I'll be intentionally showing her how to connect to her body, but I won't be doing any diet culture bullshit. On movies, I'll explain to her that, that person might have been picked on because they're fat and ugly, but actually that's just conditioning. I mean, depending on how old she is depending on the language I'll use, but right from the get-go, she'll be learning that bodies don't really matter. It's the person inside and how you make others feel. All food is equal, and you get to listen to your body and take care of yourself and put yourself first.
Yeah. That's amazing. Love that.
Yes.
How do you currently help your clients know what feels good in their own body?
Yeah, what great question, because a lot of people that come to me, they're completely disassociated,
Mhm.
meaning they've had so much trauma in their life, and trauma doesn't have to be big T trauma like sexual abuse, although it can be. Trauma can be, like I described to you, the parents doing the best they could, but leaving you to cry for 10 minutes every time because that's what they were told to do. So it can be traumatic for a baby who is completely helpless and is just not being helped. Because, in fact, I'm going to tell you a little story that's going to be really beneficial, I think, to you and your listeners. And this story comes from Emma Terrell, who has written, I think, three incredible books. I've read two of them. One of them is called Please Yourself. Definitely read it. And the other one is called What Am I Missing?
Nice.
And there's a reason I'm going to tell this little story in answer to your question. So, how many mice is there in this story? I think there's four. There's four or five. We'll find out as we continue because I remember it as I tell it. So there's four or five mice. We'll find out how many, and they each have a cheese machine. So one mouse that's called secure attachment has a cheese machine, and every time it wants cheese, it presses a button and cheese comes out. Done. That's secure attachment. So
Mhm.
that's someone who is well-rounded, who's had their needs met, who grows up to be an emotionally regulated, secure human without any of these dysregulated attachments. There's a second mouse called ambivalent or anxious attachment, and this mouse has a cheese machine. And now, when this mouse presses the button, sometimes cheese comes out and sometimes it doesn't. And also, sometimes cheese comes out when it doesn't press the button. So, this mouse can't really leave the cheese machine alone because it doesn't know if it will get cheese when it wants it, but it's also a bit afraid to be near it the whole time because it gives it cheese when it doesn't want cheese. So, it's got this anxious attachment around, shall I leave it? Shall I not leave it? Like, will I get my needs met? Will I not?
Mhm.
Anxious attachment. That's me in a mouse form. There's a third mouse called avoidant attachment who has a cheese machine, presses the button, no cheese comes out ever. So the mouse gets to learn that what's the point in going to the cheese machine? I'll completely distance myself. I'll suppress all needs because none of my needs get met anyway. And I'll completely separate and distance myself from everything and everybody because you can't trust anyone to give you anything. That's avoidant attachment. And then the fourth mouse, unless I've missed a number, fourth mouse, am I on now?
Yeah.
Fourth mouse, this is the last mouse, has a cheese machine. And this cheese machine, not only does it give it cheese when it doesn't want it to give it cheese, it doesn't give it cheese when it does want cheese, and it also causes the mouse pain. So it will electrocute the mouse when it presses the button sometimes, and then sometimes not. This mouse is called disorganized attachment. So the cheese machine harms the mouse physically or emotionally. It doesn't know whether to stay to get the cheese because sometimes it gives it, sometimes it doesn't. It doesn't know whether to avoid it because it gives it pain. So this mouse is completely not knowing what the hell to do. And obviously the cheese machine is standing in for emotional and physical care.
Mhm.
So with trauma, it doesn't just have to be locked in a room, starved and beaten to death. It can be you're crying as a baby or as a child, and no one comes to you consistently because you've been fed, changed, and you're not hot or too cold. So you're just left there to deal with your own emotions, which you can't actually do because you can't regulate yourself till a certain age. So I say that because so many people are disassociated, meaning it's too painful for them to be in their body. So they live in their head because emotions are felt in the physical body. Emotions are energy in motion. Ideally, they come through you, we feel them, we let them go. So many of us don't know how to feel because we're not shown how to feel these big emotions that can be overwhelming to a child. So the energy is stored and stuck in the body. That's very painful to experience because we feel it in the physical body. So the brain says, hey, hang out in here. It's a lot safer here. So we live in our head and we overthink and we're what if and we're living in fear. So to bring this to your question, how do people connect to their bodies? We first have to connect to ourselves to feel safe in our body before we can even think about, am I hungry? Am I full? What do I feel? So we need to do some trauma work first to feel safe, grounded in the physical body, get used to what that feels like. And that involves feeling emotions, which can be very overwhelming for so many people. And then when we can practice being in the body, we can then start to build a relationship with the body. Hey, how do you feel? What do you need? How can I support you today? And that involves food, relationships, whether to make a decision or not, because you feel it in the body. But first of all, we need to be safe in the body instead of living in the head.
Yeah. And would you say that like because there's a lot of like tests and stuff, isn't there? Like in
Yes.
out your attachment style. And you only ever really see it in dating or
Yes,
like
true.
commonly known as dating rather than how you approach, I don't know, your uni work or your
Mm,
career or something. So I think it's really fascinating to see how, let's say, an anxious person will have
mm,
the exact same relationship with food, with people, with their work, and things like that.
definitely.
Um,
Yeah.
so I know like personality tests and stuff save me loads of time.
Yes.
In
What are
fact,
you
like,
in personality tests?
pardon?
What are you in your like what personality tests have you done? Like are you a typical, I mean, there's so many of them, but what ones have you done? I'm curious.
Do you know the Myers-Briggs one?
Yes.
I love that one. And I did, because at first I didn't really take it too seriously or too much to heart because
Mm.
somebody said, oh, do you want to do this? And I thought, well, on some questions I could have selected two different answers.
Right.
So I
Yeah, yeah,
didn't
yeah.
fully identify with it for a while. And then I started doing more. But my like little word things is an INFJT. And
Mm.
yeah, it's pretty accurate. So
Yeah.
it's then really nice to then see what other people's are as well.
Yeah,
You can sort of, I don't know, I just think you then resonate with other people who are also the same personality as you. Um,
definitely.
and when you start,
What's your attachment style? Do you know?
I do know, and it's deemed as like one of the worst. It is disorganized.
Disorganized attachment. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
Some deep work to do
Yeah.
continuously, but you'll do it. I'm sure you're doing it. I don't know much about you, but you're doing this YouTube, so I'm sure you're working on yourself, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think one of the biggest things that I struggled with during my teenage years was like such self-paranoia for not like
Yeah.
to be in my body and was
Yeah.
like huge feeling of like not being seen. Or I'd like strive for all of these like amazing achievements and then they'd come and sort of be like, yeah, you are good enough, we want you. And then I wouldn't do
Yeah.
it. Stuff like
Oh, you self-sabotage right at the last minute.
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think a huge healing process for myself is to A, help people because I'm like 20 times more healthier in like my mind and my body and everything than what I was when I was like 19, 20. Because I'm 26 now.
Okay.
So of course you want to sort of go back and help the
Yes.
people, but also for almost like selfish reasons, posting something like this where I am admitting that I've got a disorganized attachment style
Yeah.
and I'm an INFJ, and the pros and cons are very accurate. To publish that online is like a huge thing
Mm.
for anybody, I think, but especially for somebody who's like so scared of like being seen.
Yeah, that's amazing because it's interesting you use the word admitted. That
Mm,
it's actually an inspiration for you to be raw and real and authentic and fucking human, let's be honest.
yeah.
I'm still working on stuff. Being a mother is such a gift because it's brought up all the stuff that I thought I'd completely healed and left behind,
Mm,
which I had in terms of body and food. But then the control stuff comes back in around when she's asleep and when she's feeding. And I'm like, this is so interesting that it's like coming up in me in a different way. And I get to heal that now.
Mhm.
So we're always a continuous work in progress. And I think you sharing so beautifully and not admitting anything because we're all in this together is
Yeah.
going to be inspiring for others because yeah, you're more advanced than other people, so you can help them, but it doesn't mean you're perfect or you're there wherever there is because there's not actually a there. I
Yeah.
found a there for
Yeah.
sure.
Literally. Because I used to always say like, oh, I'll do this after I got to this certain point. Or
Yeah,
I would do whatever. It was just always like put in points, or like rewards. And it's like
yeah,
just enjoy pleasure. I can like experience life and
mm,
expand however I want right now. I don't need to be whatever, a certain size,
no,
certain finances, certain this, that, and the other.
there's
Um,
never enough. That's the funny thing about
yeah,
the ego, right? Like you said, you get to a goal and then it's like, oh,
still not.
okay, I need a new goal. And then
Yeah,
you get to that goal.
addictive.
And then it's like, oh, and then if you're constantly chasing and chasing and chasing, but when we know, it's almost like the cosmic joke, we're always trying to be good enough. But how do we know when we're good enough? And the joke is we already are. We
Literally.
were born good enough. Hello?
Like your life is the gift. Like there's nothing else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Everything else is just, I mean, this is a bit spiritual, but this is my belief. I believe we're here to experience.
Mhm.
So we can't have left without right. We can't have up without down. We can't know what happiness is if we don't experience sadness.
Yeah.
So we're here to experience. We're not here to get everything right because what does that even mean?
Yeah.
Enjoy the passing of time and then you're winning at life.
Yeah, absolutely. And as well, like you can look at any element of nature and you
Mm.
wouldn't ever say, oh, like an opinion of like a wave or of a pigeon or of a tree.
Yeah.
You wouldn't sort of have like a negative or necessarily a positive opinion. Like they're just being.
Yeah.
They're just here.
Yeah.
Just as
They're
like
just
we are.
there. And I mean, if you look at, I said this to my husband the other day, we have a lot of plants and flowers in our house. And I was like, just look at how many different plants there are. Like, whatever created
Like
life, whatever the hell that is, we're never going to know. That is pretty incredible. And I have a huge dog. I don't know if you've seen my dog on my social media, have you?
I'm not sure.
So
Sorry.
I have a Malamute, so he looks like a husky but bigger. And
Oh,
the way his face is like, he's got like a little heart-shaped, like dark thing around his face, and the way his hair and fur is, it's just like,
mm,
and we're moaning about how fat we are or what we've eaten and what we should do and what we shouldn't do. Take a look around at actual life, and
mm,
it helps you zoom out and see that, like you said, life is such a gift. What's important to you? That's the big question to ask your audience. Like, what's truly important in your life? Is it worrying about what other people think of you, what he says, what my jeans look like, or does that really matter? Or is it just keeping you stuck and busy from appreciating the gift of what life actually is?
yeah. Because I think as well, when let's say you've got all of these insecurities at the forefront of your mind, because I've
Yeah.
experienced this, when they were gone and they were like truly gone, I then
Yeah.
had to then like face like the real shit, like the childhood trauma.
Oh, yes.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of like I don't know. Do I want to like fast track and just be insecure about my body and not have to deal with all this stuff? Um,
Yep.
so yeah, I think it's really interesting when you realize how much of your headspace was so focused on your insecurities or how you looked, and like, because I do think it affects your daily life, especially with your communication with other people, especially if
It
you're
does.
experiencing high levels of sort of like paranoia and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and then when you don't have that and you're free from it, I think you that's when you can like really get down to the
That's
nitty-gritty stuff or
absolutely
don't and just actually start.
live it. Yeah, that's it. Because body, focusing on your body and fixing your food and all of that, it's a distraction for, like you're saying, what's really going on. So
Mhm.
when this is part of my coaching, we don't just focus on behaviors. That's important because if you're undernourishing yourself, then we need to be looking at that. You need to be nourishing yourself. So behaviors are important. And we need to be looking at the underneath the behaviors. So, like you said, it's so easy and distracting to focus on your body, blame your body, chase a fantasy body, because chasing the fantasy of ending up at X size gives you a bit of hope, relieves anxiety. But if you were to take away that, I used to ask myself, if I wasn't thinking about food and my body right now, what would I be thinking about? And then underneath it, that until I healed it was, I can't be with myself. I'm not enough. Like I just felt innately unworthy, and I had so much shame. There was shame in every cell of my being. The body image and the food stuff was like a distraction from feeling the deep, painful shame that was within me. So I had to face that. Well, I chose to, because everything's a choice. I
Yeah.
chose to face that because I couldn't continue running away from it for any longer. Because wherever you go, there you are. And then now I get to just be alive and be grateful and be happy. And yes, I have feelings of sadness and joy and annoyance. And, I'm human, but I know how to feel and let them go. So I'm just like a channel that gets to experience life. And I say now I've healed, there's always stuff coming up, like I said, like motherhood's brought up other stuff.
Yeah.
But it's a gift you get to heal. But like you said, it's a distraction, the behaviors are, for what's really going on. So it's always childhood stuff, like I started off saying.
Mm.
And you need to reparent yourself and heal your inner child to then live and create a life that you want to live.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think as well, treating yourself like you are your own child. I was kind
Yeah.
of doing this sort of my mid-teens anyway, before I ever really knew what personal development was. Because I've heard a few
Oh,
authors sort of talking about it. Um,
yeah.
and it was kind of like that conscious decision of not going to those parties, not doing X,
Mm.
actually getting like an early night in, and I'm like 17, 18.
I mean, that is advanced shit, that is.
Yeah. And like I even, cause like I kept slipping up and whatnot. I even actually got a job at a nightclub because at least it was like effective
Mm.
progress. And almost like even if I wanted to, I couldn't. But I was
Yeah.
still there at the same time.
Smart.
So yeah, I'd
Very wise. You're obviously a very wise soul.
well, thank you.
I'll take that.
Try to be. Awesome. Um, So I know that we've just like had an amazing conversation. Um, and I don't even know what to do with my own questions. Um, but do you think there was like a pivotal moment, do you know, with because you speak a lot about like the pushing back so much resilience on like the dieting industry and that
Yeah.
like, dieting narrative. Um,
Yes.
and I know, of course, like even things are popping up now and things like that. But was there a point like before you became a coach? Actually, that would be awesome to even touch on like how did you build up that sort of like confidence and resilience to become a coach as well.
Mm.
But was there like a moment where you realized after the shame and like you went through and healed, where you was like, I really have changed? Was there like a day that you
Oh,
thought
like where I looked back.
that like
Great.
aha moment? Because I think when you're in it and you're
Yeah.
doing all of your little things because you built up a system or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can't ever say there was a pivotal moment, but I can remember there's days where I've
Mm.
gone through my journals from like this date, but a year
And
ago,
you can see
and
the
I can
progress you've
see the
made.
massive, yeah,
Yeah.
internal
Th- That's
stuff.
a great question. And I'm reflecting back as you've asked it. And there's a moment that comes to mind. And like you say, recovery, healing, it's a day by day process. So
Yeah.
you're in it, so you must look back and appreciate how far you've come. But I remember it was a summer, so maybe it was, I mean, God knows what summer it would have been. I'm 38 now, would have been about 6.5, 7 years ago.
Mhm.
And it was summertime, and we'd gone to like a barbecue. And so it was really hot weather. So I'd wore like a shorter dress, even though I have cellulite on my legs, shocker, most women do. Whereas I'd always cover them up because how could I dare people see my cellulite? And not only that, it was like I would cover up because I thought I don't want to put them through the agony of having to see cellulite on my legs, kind of thing. There was a
Mm.
lot of stuff to work through. So I'd worn a short dress, gave zero fucks, ate what I wanted, came back home. I was really full. And I remember just lying on the sofa and feeling so content and free. And then I remember thinking, wow, I remember a time where there would be so much anxiety. First of all, I would never have worn the dress. I would have been really hot in leggings. Then I
Mhm.
would have stressed about what I would have eaten. I would have either restricted and then binged, or tried to restrict the entire time, or binge the entire day, like one or the other. And I remember just looking back and thinking, I'm so proud of myself. So that, yeah, so thank you for that question, because I've not actually thought about a particular moment where I look back. And then also in intimacy, actually, again, I can't remember the particular moment, but when me and my now husband were being intimate, and it was the first time I could really completely just let go and surrender and receive, instead of what does my bum look like from that angle? Have I got a roll? What, you know how it is. And that was the first time I was able to experience mind-blowing pleasure, because I completely let go of all my insecurities around my body as
Yeah.
well. So that was a big moment thinking back, actually.
And did you talk about it together? Like, could he realize that you would
Yes.
let go?
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet that was
Yeah.
really powerful for your relationship, actually. Was you engaged at that point?
Yes. I think we were newly engaged. We were engaged, and I shared with him the insecurities I had. I mean, he knew I had insecurities, because when I first met him, I was fake confident. So I had the six pack, the 9% body fat, full on eating disorder, acting all confident and cocky, but it was just a show for the insecurities I was covering up. Then when I moved to the Netherlands to be with him, I couldn't hide the eating disorder anymore. So I shared everything with him, and then I shared in intimacy, like, I can't, sometimes I feel so bad if it takes so long to happen, because I'm in my head, and I'm wondering what you think about me and all of that. So it really helps to share. He was a safe person to share with, though. I wouldn't have shared this with just a randomer. You need to
Yeah.
feel safe to share. And then what he would do is he would help me work through it. So the parts of myself that I didn't like him to touch, like my thighs, where my bumpy cellulite was, or my little kangaroo pouch, I call it, we would do work together where he would actually touch those parts of me, where my body would automatically be like, like this and tense. And I would practice relaxing as he was touching those parts of me in a non-sexual way to begin with,
Yeah.
just touching me. And
Uh,
so we actually kind of did a lot of body work together. And then I got used to my asking my body to relax when he was touching the places where I was like, oh my God, I want to die, because it must be so disgusting for him to feel. And I trained myself that it was safe to allow myself to be touched in these areas. And then I started off like closing my eyes a lot during intimacy. So I said to him, like, I know it might be a bit weird, but I'm going to focus on like feeling and
mm,
closing my eyes and going inwards and feeling what it feels like to be with you, other than what is going on with my eyes and I'm going to be all in my head. So we did work together. He helped me a lot. And it's the best thing I've ever done in terms of intimacy. But you need to be working on yourself. You need to be having the conversations. You need to be touching yourself on the areas that you feel
mm.
like freaked out about others touching you. Because if you want something, not everything has to come with work, because I don't dig that belief anymore. Like everything, what's that saying? Like everything worth having doesn't come for free, or it's something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
believe that. But I've found through experience that if you really want something and there's a lot of fear there, you have to work through the fear, and it is uncomfortable
Mm.
until it's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love this saying where it's like, I think it's Layla Hormozy. She goes, you realize that fear is like an inch deep and a mile wide. So it's like all of these,
Oh, I love that.
yeah. It's like all of these fears, like, yeah, they're still fears. Yeah, you can still see them. But when you step your foot in
Mm.
it's deep and you can walk through it. And it's
Oh, I love
yeah.
that.
So it's like not about eradicating the fears, it's just being able to like calmly walk
Move.
because you can. You're
Yeah,
not gonna drown, essentially.
you're right. Yeah, people say to me all the time, oh my God, Victoria, you're fearless. And I'm like, no, I fear less, but I'm not fearless because I'm human.
Yeah.
But I get excited. I know this sounds really weird. I get excited when I'm afraid of something or when I'm triggered, because I'm like, oh, this is something to dive into. Like, obviously, at the time, I have a reaction, and then I'm very good at noticing my reaction and sitting with my feelings and sharing with my husband if it's about him and our relationship. Like, oh, I feel like this way when you did that. Like, can you help me unpack it, please? Because something's going on right now, and I feel like a child like wants to tell you to fuck off or something. So can we explore what's going on here? So I get excited when I'm afraid or getting triggered because I know on the other side of that is going to come a wiser Victoria. I'm going to grow again. And it's just a constant letting go, evolving, like probably till I die. I know it will happen until I die.
Yeah, I think once you like sort of program your mind to be curious about your own triggers and stuff, you
Yes.
can't really not want to solve them long term,
No.
like however long,
Yeah,
because you know how much you do grow and evolve because you've already created so much evidence of all of the things
exactly.
that you've overcome. Uh,
Yes.
and
Evidence is a key word.
yeah, literally. And I think that's the part of the personal development um sort of advice industry that I love because it's just like so true. You know, like you
Yeah, the
really
brain loves evidence. The
Mm,
brain loves evidence. So if someone has a fear of spiders, let's say, you
yeah.
can't overcome your fear by talking about it, by looking at pictures, by reading about it, by having conversations about it. You have got to, if you want to overcome your fear of spiders, no one's making you. If you
Mhm.
want to, you have to face the fear by literally exposure therapy.
Yeah.
It's the same with emotional fears, like the fear of weight gain. Doesn't mean you have to intentionally gain weight, but you have to start acting like a person who is not afraid of weight gain
hmm
and deal with the emotions that come up for you and the fears that will be there when you act like a person who's not afraid of weight gain, because then you're going to get to the juice of what's actually going on. Because it's not weight gain in and of itself, it's what you make weight gain mean and what society makes weight gain mean as well.
Yeah. What was sort of some of the things that you started to do with that?
For my fear of weight gain,
Yeah.
first of all, I got to
What
a
do you think
stage, and
your body changing?
your body changes, and I've had a baby now, and my
Yeah.
body's changed again. And I'm so glad I've done this work now because if I hadn't, it would be a whole nother thing. But I'm completely at peace with it. What started for me was, first of all, I'd had enough. I got to a point where I was like, fuck this. I'm gonna get fat and I'm not like whatever fat means, I'm gonna go into that because it's just a descriptor. There's nothing wrong with being fat, although society says different. I got to the stage where I'd literally had enough 20 years of being petrified, not just afraid, petrified of weight gain. And I just couldn't do it anymore. It was ruining my life. It was affecting my relationship with food, obviously. It was affecting my relationship with intimacy, with people, with what I wore, with my confidence. And I was just so ready to just let that go. I had no idea how I was going to do this. I had no idea how. So, anyone listening who has a fear of weight gain, you don't need to know how because I had no clue. But I knew I wanted to let that fear go. And then I started looking at people on Instagram and stuff. I know you never know because it's Instagram, but I started looking at people face value who were in a bigger body than me, but similar shape. Like I'm with the whole shapes of people's bodies. I guess I'm like a pear, more of a pear shaped.
Mhm.
I would look at those type of women and bigger than me that looked like they were happy and positive and confident and didn't give a fuck. And I'll be like, oh, she's so inspiring to me. So I started off finding evidence in other people to give my brain evidence like, well, she seems really happy. She's got a boyfriend and might be having amazing sex. I don't know. She's eating what she wants. She's wearing shorts and she's got loads of cellulite. So I started creating a bit of space like, what if they were another way to live? Because I literally thought you were born, so you need to spend your entire life staying thin or getting thin. Full stop. That's literally what I was taught the point in life was. I didn't want that anymore. So it started off with me being done with where I was. I think that's quite key. You need to be done with the bullshit you're living in order to create change. So I started there. And then like I said to you, like I would look at people my size or bigger and be like, right, okay, I'm gonna get quote unquote fat. I'm just gonna get fat. I'm just gonna just go with it. And I don't know how I'm gonna work through it, but I'm just done with being how I am right now. So I would like prep myself and prep my brain that I was going to gain all this weight. And I didn't know how much weight I would gain. I knew I would gain because I was restricting. And I did gain weight. I gained in terms of English like 3 stone, like from my like Anorexia was a whole nother story. That was like when I was a teenager. But in terms of the bulimia, it was about 3 stone that I gained. But I didn't know how much I was going to gain. So I prepped myself to be in a bigger body and I just practiced being okay with the thought of that. I wasn't okay with the thought of that, but I prepped myself. I almost like brainwashed myself in a positive way, the way I'd been brainwashed my whole life in a negative way. That fat isn't bad, it's just a descriptor. You can be sexy because confidence is sexy, not a body size. And also, I used to write little journal prompts like, I've gained weight and what else have I gained? Food fucking freedom. I'm no longer like obsessed if I've gone for a poo in the morning or not, and it ruins my entire day. I've gained like not giving a shit what people think of me. I had to work on all of that. It didn't just come because I decided I was okay with weight gain. And then for me, I faced my fear of weight gain by actually gaining weight, not on purpose, but that's what my body did in recovery, and understanding and seeing that I didn't actually die and nothing actually bad happened.
No.
And my life actually wasn't different, it was actually better.
Yeah.
And then a bit of evidence is all your brain needs to actually make the fear less and less and less. And then the more weight I gained, my life didn't change, it just got better. I mean, I had feelings about it, I had to work through it. What
Mhm.
I meant, my weight gain meant, I had more freedom. And so you're like, oh, my biggest fear has come true. And I'm the happiest I've ever been in my entire life. It didn't jump from that to that. I had to work through the stuff in the middle, but you get to see, like you said with that quote, fear is like an inch deep. It's not going to swallow you up. It will if you keep running away from it. Well, have you had enough yet
Enough what? Sorry. Oh,
of
like,
running away from the
yeah,
fear? That's like I say to people, like when they come to me, like I've done this, I've done that. I'm like, well, have you had enough yet? Are you ready to? And they're kind of like, yes, I've had enough. Right, let's get to work then. You ready to face your fear? 'Cause it's not going to be easy.
yeah.
You can do it.
And do you ever get some clients that like sort of kind of like the concept of like all talk but sort of no action? So they're
Mm.
like they're still completely avoiding it, but
Well,
they're
they're
sort of
talking about
coming
it all the time.
sort of almost like that sort of like student to teacher validation of like, yeah, I've done this, da, 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 da. I've done all of these things, but then if you keep reminding them of like the actual root cause, they're in complete avoidance. And how do you get them to like go straight through it?
Well, I have a knack at getting to know the person, getting to know their values, because it's important, whatever the person values in life, I use their values against them in quotes to support their recovery.
Yeah.
So let's say someone's value is justice. This is one of my clients the other day. So her justice meant like standing up for what was right, etc., etc. So
Mhm.
I said, okay, I've got a quote for you. Every time you restrict or every time you allow your brain to go in a cycle of body hate thoughts, you're contributing to your own oppression and the oppression of all women all around the world by buying into the bullshit of diet culture. And she was like, what the And I was like, exactly. So write this down. I am no longer willing to contribute to my own oppression. Anything to do with diet culture is contributing to her own oppression. So her value of justice, which she values so strongly, supported her or is supporting her to get out of her like stuck in the rut of the restrict binge cycle. So wait, what did you ask me? I've gone on a tangent. What question did you ask me? So I can continue answering it.
Sort of how, and you are answering it beautifully, like how if they're like saying that they're doing all of these things that are great, but they're sort of like the surface level,
That's it.
the comfortable stuff because they're too
Yes.
scared to go sort of straight through into the uncomfortable pain, but the things that's actually going to truly.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, great. So,
So you're
well,
saying about the
so
value, that sort of set of belief of the values and realize.
yeah, because the values are very core to the person. Our values change over time, though, as we evolve and change, but we can only work with the values we have right now until we keep evolving and then we work with those values, etc. You can talk about stuff all you want, but you have to make the action because a lot of people do is and I'll answer the second part of your question in the minute of the surface level action. But in terms of general action, you can talk about it all you want, but you will not feel ready to take the action. People wait to feel ready before they do something. They'll be waiting forever.
Mhm.
when you take the action, your feelings then change. Your feelings do not change before the action. So you have to be uncomfortable. You have to face the fear. You have to take action to change anything.
Yeah.
Even so many people come to me and they could write 10 books about eating disorder recovery, yet they're stuck because they're unwilling to be uncomfortable and they're unwilling to take the actions. Those people who are unwilling to go deep don't work with me because we have a consultation and I confront them with the truth in a loving way. Like, we will be having to dive into the stuff that's underneath because you're banging on about your fear of weight gain, which of course that's what you have, but it's actually not the fear of weight gain. It's deeper stuff, which is what we'll work on. So if you're eating well, and when I say eating well, like eating unrestrictedly, nourishing yourself, and let's say you're not gaining weight, your body's naturally at its set point weight, and then you're happy because you like the way your body looks, and then you like give yourself a 10 out of 10 with body acceptance, I would argue that, okay, surface level, you like the way you look, but that's conditional. What happens if you wake up in 10 years' time after having a baby and like your body, you can't recognize it anymore? Is it going to be a 10 out of 10 in body acceptance then? No. Well, let's work on it so it will be,
Mm.
because we need to keep diving deeper. So with me, we don't, I never work with anyone who only does surface level stuff, because if they do, it only changes temporarily. It's like I had a client the other day, we was talking about the steps she was doing. So she would do like 30,000 steps a day. So the goal is to obviously remove the Fitbit, move intuitively, heal the eating disorder, etc. So she started coming at me with like, okay, what if I like reduce it by like 1,000 steps a week? And I said, listen, I'm not going to tell you what to do as your coach, but I'm going to ask you why all the steps in the first place.
Mm.
It's not just the behavior, because when, like counting calories, when calories no longer matter, the calorie counting just dissolves. So
Mm.
instead of focusing on, right, let's only count half a day calories, or let's like do a trick to stop you from counting calories in your head. No, let's go deeper. Why do counting calories even matter to you? Let's go there, because then the behavior just goes by itself.
Yeah.
Did that answer your question?
I think so, yeah. So I think really it's just about really trying to look at what they're doing. That's the surface level stuff, say taking 1,000
Mm,
steps off, and then
yeah.
saying actually why are you counting them in the first place? Just really
Yeah.
questioning what they think is sort of a pro, and still
Mm,
celebrating it, like, yeah, it's still progress,
yes,
but also,
definitely.
can you tell me why? And did you even enjoy your walk? Did
Yeah.
you even enjoy your steps?
Exact enjoyment is everything.
Are
People
you
who have
looking
eating
around?
yeah, and pleasure is a big part of it. Pleasure to be alive, pleasure for sex, pleasure for food, pleasure for rest.
Yeah.
And any behavior that's appeasing the eating disorder,
Mm.
even though it might seem like a pro behavior, and like you said, it's always key to celebrate wins.
Mm.
However, I'm going to question it if it's still like feeding into, pun intended, the eating disorder in some way.
Yeah.
Because I know I can see a mile off, even if it looks like a win, if it's actually feeding into the eating disorder, and in long term, it's not going to serve the client. And that's why people sign with me, because I've got a knack of giving so much genuine compassion and love. And I'm very direct and I give a lot of tough love, because that's true love, to be fully honest and direct as well, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Mm.
Yeah. And you do have a beautiful, loving aura.
Thank
Um,
you.
but yeah, I love that sort of cutthroat, straight to the point realization, because again, that's
Yeah.
I think how the only way that people can truly grow. Because if not, they're just like yada yada yada, like all of these small wins. But like you said, it's still feeding into that eating disorder.
Yeah. And
Uh,
if I, just to add to a little bit on there, if I truly want the best for someone, which I do always, whether they work with me or not, if someone's working with me and I want the best for them and I love them, I'm not allowing them to stay in their comfort victim mode by saying what they want me to say. I'm going to be fully honest and say what they might not want me to say, but that's loving them better than
yeah,
allowing them to stay stuck and appeasing it and making them be like, oh yeah, like I'm happy in my little comfort zone. I'm like, no, you've invested a shit ton of money in yourself. Let's do this thing. So in 6 months' time, you walk away never needing coaching again around this topic. I mean, coaching I'd have for the rest of my life because I just love coaching. I have a coach now, I always will, with other stuff, just to be a mirror and reflecting and stuff like that. But the goal is to fully recover. And if I love you enough, I am unable to allow you to stay stuck in your stories and
Yeah,
patterns.
love that. And regarding stories, and I am going off on a bit of a tangent here. So, like, for
Tangent. I'm
example,
the tangent queen, so bring it on.
love it. Let's say somebody has progressed significantly and they've gained weight in a really beautiful, healthy way and they're feeling awesome. And then they go clothes shopping for themselves. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, how do you think some of your clients have ever, well, I don't think we should say have ever, but how do you think they could like reframe being triggered by clothing sizes if
Mm.
that's not something that they've thought about weight gain? They might have
Yeah.
just been sort of visualizing their body getting bigger, but not really visualized
Mhm.
that like number on
Yes.
clothes.
Yes. And with changing rooms, I mean, I'm thinking of, I mean, any changing room you go in, really, what do they do with the lighting to show up every single piece of cellulite, every stretch mark? It's like they don't want to sell clothes or something, you know?
Have you ever been in a Lululemon?
No, but I actually talked to my husband today. I'm going to buy some of those leggings.
Their mirrors, I don't know how they do it. So they have like a front one and then two side
Mm.
ones. But they make your legs look huge. Like you think like you've like gained like 5 pounds of like muscle on like each side of your leg. You're like, whoa, look at my legs, they look sick. So I think as well, even
Mm.
though that is obviously something to do with the lighting and the angles of the mirrors, they're
Mm.
obviously promoting that sort of pro muscular legs. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I do think it is really fascinating. So if you go somewhere like that or go to somewhere just like a another high street retailer, the ex
Without dropping any names.
yeah, the experience is completely different.
Yes, it
Um,
is.
yeah,
It is. And with numbers, then, so here's the thing about clothes as well. I have clothes ranging from a size 8 to a size 16, literally.
that's
So
wild. Yeah,
depending on the make, the style, the size, the shop, this is worth saying because everything is so different. I mean, the goal is to let go of attaching yourself to numbers, period. But even if you're attached to numbers, it makes no sense to be attached because everything is different.
yeah.
Literally, the sizing. So when you get to the root cause, if you're bothered about the clothing size, like let's say you're a size 10 and now you're a 14 and you're like, oh fuck, I refuse to buy a size 14 pair of jeans. Well, what are you making that number mean about you? Because when we heal the meaning of what we're creating about the size of the number doesn't matter. So it's not a case of like, yes, in the moment you can be kind and compassionate always to yourself and be like, it doesn't matter that it's a size 14, I've been on a healing journey and etc., which is key. But again, that surface level compassion's always a win anyway. But I would be asking the question to myself, sweetheart, why does the number even matter to you anymore?
Mm,
Why does that matter? And really get to the root of what that means. And it's always usually linked to fear, like the fear of weight gain, fear of judgment from others. And then when we've healed that, the number is just like, I don't even look at, I mean, obviously, if I'm shopping, I have to choose a size,
yeah.
but I shop online because I can't be asked to go to the shop. And I prefer just to have everything delivered than to send everything back that doesn't fit. I order, because I'm in the Netherlands now, so it's different sizes, an S, an M, and an L in every single thing because I have no idea. This dress here is a size 8 UK.
Mhm.
My other dress downstairs is like a size 14 UK. So, I mean, what do you want to do? So,
Yeah.
when the number doesn't matter and you have to go deeper, but in the moment in the changing room, when you're literally stood there and it's like, holy shit, this is too small, I need a bigger size, self-compassion always. And
Mhm.
ask yourself, do I want to care about this? Do
No.
I actually want to be putting my attention and energy into this number? Why am I allowing a number to dictate how I feel and my happiness and my worth? Like, I'm just really, fuck that.
Yeah.
No, I'm done.
Yeah.
I
So
choose freedom.
almost like fight your emotions a little bit to just be like, hell no, we're stopping
Yeah,
this right now. Because
yeah, exactly. That kind of energy, like, fuck no.
yeah,
I'm like, if I was to connect to my higher self, my best version of me,
yeah,
the motherfucking queen, would she actually give a shit about what's that? She would just own that shit.
yeah,
So
absolutely. I
get
think
into
that's
that.
it. I love it. The thing is, though, I think it is just confidence or whatever. But when you see women just like owning it, especially
Yes,
especially when they are maybe a size 18, a size 20, whatever,
yes,
not to be so specific, but when you see them looking like a literal goddess from like Southeast
yes.
Asia, they've got all of these like, I don't know, jingly things on. And I'm
It's
like,
just a vibe.
"Oh, that looks sick." And it's like, well, you can.
Yes,
You literally can.
it's
And that,
energy.
yeah, literally. And they believe in
Energy.
themselves. They know that they're sexy and they're not necessarily thinking, is my cellulite, is my rolls, is my this, do my arm, they're not thinking, or
No,
even if they are,
they're
they're
owning
not going to
it.
stop it. Yeah, they're not, their actions are still healing them because they're still going out and wearing something that might be a little bit extra.
Yes,
If I can,
they're they're acting, or probably not even acting because they are that. They're acting like they love who they are and accept who they are, and that's attractive to anybody, regardless of someone having a judgment about their body size. A judgment is different, just like, oh, I prefer the color blue over the color pink. That's just a judgment. But when someone feels the vibe of a person who loves and accepts themselves, that's what we're aiming for because when you love and accept yourself fully and show up in the world in that energy, you're giving others permission to do the same.
100%.
And it doesn't mean we go around loving every aspect of who we are and what we look like and it's in no way I am better than. It's like this is who I am, this is my flaws, and I'm going to own the shit out of that because otherwise it's going to own me. And I'm done being a prisoner to myself. I choose freedom. So, how would a free person act? Act that way, be an inspiration to yourself and others. And then before you know it, you're not acting anymore, you're living it. And you're like, ah, turns out I can wear shorts and have cellulite and not die and nothing bad happens.
Yeah, exactly. One of my questions actually was
Mhm.
going to say, could you paint us a picture of
Mhm.
somebody's daily experience of somebody who is super paranoid about their appearance, has like low
Yeah.
self-worth, that kind of vibes. And then can you paint us a picture of somebody who has very high self-worth, feeds
Mm.
themselves to whatever they want, feel completely free, very expanded, and the difference in that and kind of what do you reckon they'll be saying to each other?
Oh, this is a great question. Right. Scenario number one, the
Oh,
old me. I always speak from experience.
love it.
It's hot. Oh God, it's a sunny day. Oh God, that means the sun's going to show every cellulite that I have. Oh God, that means I'm going to have to wonder what to wear because I don't want to show my legs off. Oh my God, I'm going to be so hot. My legs are going to chaff and I can't show my arms because they're really big. And oh God, we're going to a barbecue later and what am I going to eat? Etc., 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 etc. Goes to the barbecue, really hot, covering myself up, uncomfortable, wondering how many calories are in the food, wondering what I look like, wondering what he or she thinks about me, wondering if I should diet and lose weight, knowing that I should, planning that in my head, not being present, etc. Not being present in conversations,
Yeah.
wondering, worrying about myself, etc. Version of me now. Oh yeah, what a beautiful day. The sun's shining. It's going to be hot today. I'll wear my chub rub shorts so my legs don't chaff so I can take care of myself. I'm going to wear this nice flowy dress so I can let some like cool air around. Oh, we're going to a barbecue later. Oh, that's cool. I wonder what kind of food they're going to have. I'm really excited about that. I wonder what we should take with us. I wonder if I can ask so and so about her new job. Like being present in the conversation, excited about food and enjoying food, I'm a lot more relaxed and at peace and how they would speak to each other. So how my future self, well, this self would talk to my past self if this is what you meant. I'm not sure. Is that what you
Yeah,
meant?
yeah, yeah. So you're in
I
the
would,
same scenario, you're at the same barbecue.
yes, I
What?
would say, sweetheart, I know you don't believe me right now, but everything what is going on inside of you is complete bullshit.
Mhm,
It's all conditioning. It's all false stories you're telling yourself. You're keeping yourself in your own prison, and you literally have the key to unlock your own chains. And it all starts with you choosing that you've had enough of living that way. Because look at how I'm living. Like, I'm genuinely present with our friends. I'm genuinely enjoying the sun and excited, not dreading it because I don't know what I'm going to wear. I don't give a shit if I've got cellulite because I've got a natural woman's body. And also, I'm getting older. And also, I've just had a baby. And also, guess what? I've not got abs anymore and I don't care. And it's free. And
mhm.
that's just a better way to live. And it all starts with a choice, my love. So what do you choose? Because you deserve better than this.
And what do you think she would say? Do you
Show
think
me how.
do you think
Show
she
me
would?
how.
Nice. That's good. That should still be
Yeah.
curious and be like, how? Yeah,
Yeah. You would
love
want
that.
to be guided and she would need evidence that it is possible, which I would be the evidence for her. But she would need to be done with where she's at. I can't reiterate that enough. There's a book that I took a picture of in a bookshop and it goes something like, I wish I had my phone next to me to show you the picture. Change only happens. I'm paraphrasing here. Change only happens when someone gets tired of their own bullshit.
Yeah, I completely agree as well.
You have to be done, else you'll keep running back to your security. And again, another quote, and I need to get better at remembering where these quotes are from. They're just in my head. Are you willing to give up your familiar hell for the unfamiliar heaven?
Oh, that's lovely.
Beautiful, right?
I love that. Yeah. I really
Yeah,
like that. That's the
yeah.
beautiful, beautiful. Okay. Well, that was, yeah, I love that. That's incredible. Um,
Always a choice. Always, everything is a choice.
yeah. And do you think, because I've been on some like personal development groups and they say, I don't want you to have this big bang in order for you to start taking actions
Mm.
for you to change. I don't want you to have to go to the depths of pain.
No, no, no,
I
no.
just want you to say, yes, I'm going to change. Have you
Yes.
had those sort of clients? And do you think the success rates is the same? Do you think they're still in it enough? Or,
Yeah. I mean, Ed Milet, I do remember this where this quote come from. Ed Milet says it's really hard to give up the good for the great. It's really easy to give up the bad for the great,
yeah, yeah,
right? It's actually easier to move away from significant emotional or physical pain than be in mm, settling it's okay mode and then swap that for the great. So I absolutely do not recommend people wait to get to rock bottom before they get where they want to be. So I ask people to ponder these two questions are the same question and they're asked in a different way. So the first question is this bad enough to change?
nice.
The second question is this good enough to stay?
Oh, I love the second one.
Yes, most people will operate from is this bad enough to change because they're used to suffering, it's their comfort zone. But if you allow yourself to just feel into how it would feel to go from the energy of, is this good enough to stay?
Mhm.
Fuck no, it's not good enough to stay. So it's the same question, but it's said from a completely different place. So it is harder to go from good to great,
Yeah.
even though it seems ironic because when someone's in the depth of hell, that's really hard, but it's easier to move out of that place.
Mhm.
So I ask people who don't think they're in the depth of hell to say, okay, if you had a magic wand and you could change anything about your life, what would it be? They tell me this beautiful vision of the life they would want. And I'll say, you can have that. And the only person stopping you from having that is you.
Mhm.
So allow them to feel into the vision of what they want. And they don't have to have any reason to go for it, purely the reason that they want to and they desire it, and that is enough.
Love that. Yeah, that's
Yes.
beautiful. Because I think sometimes I do that a lot where I have to think of all of these reasons why. Why am I
Yeah.
like, why do I want it? It's like Just because I want it isn't good enough. I have to.
That full stop, because I want it, full stop. That's my reason. That is the only reason you need. You can come up with all the other reasons, you can
Yeah.
justify it, but it's simply enough just because you want it. End
Mhm.
of story.
Gorgeous. Love that. And do you know when was on about the past self, your current self, and you did mention your future self. I'm just a little bit curious if you have a future self in mind.
I do, always.
Go for it, tell me.
Always. So my future self is obviously a mother. Now I've stepped into new motherhood. She's even more present. She has even more fierce boundaries because I'm still working through a little bit of people pleasing, not gonna lie. It's getting a lot better. I'm a recovering people pleaser.
Yeah, and I feel like with like potential pressures from other mums and stuff, I don't know if obviously I don't know, but like I don't know if it's just like what society's said, but I don't know if the like mum pressure is like a real thing. But we see
I
it in,
think it is, but I don't surround myself in those types of circles. And also, I'm really good now at just not really listening to anyone else. I listen to myself.
yeah,
But for me, my future self is even more present and not thinking about a business all the time because I'm in my head a lot with my business because I care so much and I want to help more people. But sometimes I notice that when I'm with my daughter, I'm not fully present because I'm thinking about my call or some client questions or something. So I would work on being one thing at a time, like with my full presence.
yeah.
My future self is even more fierce with her, even more ruthless with who she has in her energy.
Right.
So not people pleasing to kind of friends who I'm not really that bothered about, but I don't want to be mean to. I just want to be nice. I've not got time for that anymore. Like when you have a baby, if you ever do in the future, trust me, your time like halves. It's just weird. I can't explain it. So I'm even more ruthless and I'm leaning into setting even more boundaries of like, I'm not having that in my energy anymore. So I'm actually going to have to let that go. And that's hard because I want to be nice and that person values having me in their life, but I've not got priority for that anymore.
Mm.
So she's more fierce, more boundary setting, more present. And I guess even more surrendered around when my baby's asleep. Oh my God, if she's asleep at now, she won't sleep tonight, then that means I won't sleep. Surrender.
Yeah.
It's all good. So she's more surrendered, more present, more boundary setting, and more fierce.
And do you see her saying anything to you more? Like, do you have
Trust the
like
pro
an internal
trust
self-dialogue?
the process is what came to me when you said that. So trust the process, lean into discomfort, and take steps.
Baby steps as your
Yeah,
baby grows into a toddler
there
and a
you go.
teen.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, I was gonna say, um, what is two things? What's the most powerful question you've ever asked yourself or one of your clients?
Mm.
And do you have like a quote, like a number one quote or like a life mantra that sort of wholeheartedly represents who you are?
Oh, okay. Let me go with a quote first. I love my quotes. What one am I going to choose? Okay, this is one of Brene Brown's.
Awesome, love her.
Why are we hustling for our worthiness when all we have to do is claim it?
Beautiful.
And that can be obviously put into everything because the depth of the foundation of everything is worthiness. We're
Yeah.
hustling so hard for it. We need to be thin for it. We need to be rich for it. We need to be good enough for it. Just fucking claim it. It's already yours to claim.
Yeah.
Done. So that's the quote. Most powerful question I've ever asked myself or a client. I'm going to go with asking myself. That's where it started.
Mhm.
I think I've asked it to you in context of me talking, and it's not really a powerful, it is, I'm going to say it because when it's delivered in a certain way, when someone's in that mindset, including the past me, it creates space for change. And that is, have you had enough yet?
Mm.
And then for me, that just brings a feeling of, I've had fucking enough. And it just opens up so much for me, like striving and fighting and striving and fighting. And have you had enough? Yes. And then it's like, it's almost like a breath out, like, oh, I don't have to do that anymore. I've had enough. I get to choose to do something different. So I guess the question would be, have you had enough yet?
Nice.
Because then you get to choose. Always you get to choose. People who say I can't, I replace it with you won't. You can, you're choosing not to. And let me show you how you can choose to do so.
Yeah.
You have the power, always.
And I think it's so beautiful that you've got like almost like a collection of clients that I'm sure would potentially reach out given the right circumstance and just be like, it is possible, you know?
Oh, that is so possible. If you have a vision of what you want for your life, this is everybody. If you have even a slight vision of wanting something different than what you have now, you're remembering the future. It's already done on a different timeline. So you just get to create, well, step into what's already happened. If you don't have a vision, like I don't have a vision to be an astronaut, because I don't want to be, so I
Yeah.
can't be. But if I have a vision of being XYZ, it's already done, it's already mine. I just have to be the person that is already there and act accordingly and work through the shit that comes up when I'm acting accordingly. It's that simple.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, love that. And going back to your quote, it reminds me of the Frida quote, which is you don't sometimes I can't quite remember it, but you don't have to do anything to be loved.
Oh, I love that one too. That's so true.
Um
Just be, just be alive. It's enough.
yeah. It actually is though. That's the thing. Um Fantastic. So, what's something you do to welcome your clients to face things they haven't thought that they needed to? We already sort of touched on that. But basically, if somebody wanted to work with you, do you want to discuss the difference between the program and the group coaching and between that and the one-on-one coaching? Um,
Mhm.
and is there an essence of community within the group coaching?
Yes. So let me put my tea down again. And if it's okay, final question, because I've got to swap with my husband for my baby girl now, um, which is a great question to finish on. So anyone who resonated with me and wants to know more, I have a free support group, completely free, where people can come in, ask me direct questions about anything, body image, self-love, food freedom, stuff like that. We also have hot seat coaching every month. So they get to watch the replays of all the past coaching for free, and then they also get a chance to be coached for free. This next step up from that is the paid group coaching, which is well, you can stay as long as you like, so there's a monthly payment option, but ideally you stay in for 6 months or a year. We have 2 coaching calls a month. They have access to all of my online programs. The most valuable one is the Body Love Binge. Takes about 4 months to go through. There's deep healing work in there, a lot of inner child stuff, a lot of journaling, audios from me, videos from me, books to read. It's a deep dive into healing, but you have to be motivated to go through it yourself and like go through the modules yourself. Feedback to me in the group. I'm always open to feedback and support. Also, there's direct questions that I answer every week. I'm in the group, so if you have a question and you need support or coaching, then I'm always there personally answering your questions. The price of that is, I think on my website, it's €90 a month, or it's 997 for a year to join the group. And one-to-one coaching, and I've got a wait list at the minute, which I'm so blessed to be able to say that. There's some spaces coming up. I don't know when this is going to be released, but there's some spaces coming up. What are we on now? End of March, towards the middle of April. And I work with clients for either 3 months or for 6 months. Depending on what kind of eating disorder they're in, what they need help with, I'd recommend whether they only need 3 months or whether they need 6 months. The 6 month option comes with 24/7 WhatsApp support. So I'm in your pocket, metaphorically speaking, for 6 months, coaching you through anything. And with both one-to-one, you get access to a year of my group and my programs and the community in there as well, because it's really important to have community. Not everyone who has one-to-one wants community, and that's fine. But those who haven't wanted it and who have been in it are like so grateful they did, because they're surrounded by women all around the world who get it,
Yeah.
who are in different parts of their healing journey, who it's not just me saying like, this is what works, I've done this. Other women are saying, hey, I was in your position too. This is what I did. And people feel really seen and understood, and people get it and they feel seen and heard as well.
Yeah, I think the most healing thing is hearing your thoughts that you haven't really been able to internalize or speak
Mhm.
coming from another person's mouth.
Yeah, it makes you feel so seen and understood and like it's possible for you because it's been possible for them. And
Yeah.
it is possible. So community is a really key aspect of recovery, especially as women. There's a few men in there and they're very, very respectful, but it's primarily women who are in there healing. So reach out to me if you have any questions about how you can work with me. I have my own podcast, the Body Love Binge podcast.
I think it's great.
Um,
And yeah, and I'll pop all of your links in the description and everything like that. So enjoy your afternoon with your daughter and your
Thank you,
family.
Tegan.
And
Thank
it's
you.
been absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for all of your energy and your insights.
You're
Um,
welcome.
I'm really, really happy that we did this today.
Me too. You're welcome, Tegan.